Hi, I'm Sarah and I have HHT.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of HHTV, the show that raises awareness of HHT and its effects. I'm your co-host, Veronica Yanoski.
And I'm your other co-host, Samantha Kane.
Today we will be interviewing Sarah Angello, a carrier of HHT, and is the twin sister of survivor Julia Angello and the niece of survivor Moose Lipinski.
We will be asking her some questions about her experience, and we'll see if she can answer some stuff for us.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. All right, Sarah, we'll be asking you some questions. Is that all right?
Yep, thank you.
First one, how old were you, and how did you discover you had HHT?
I was 26 years old. I was the second one diagnosed in my family. Julia was the first. She was having symptoms and she had a stroke as well. So after she was diagnosed, they tested me and I ended up having it. We were both 26, which in my opinion is much too late to realize you have a disease. But the average age someone gets diagnosed with this disease is 30 because it's so rare. People don't know to look for it. And some of the symptoms can, hide until, you're much older. So yeah, I was 26.
Okay. And where was the HHT located?
So my HHT, it started with nosebleeds, but my HHT is mostly in my lungs. So I had to get that treated by to prevent malformed blood vessels from bleeding. They have to go in and coil it, but they don't open you up surgically. They just go in through a tiny little hole in your body, and they put coils in your blood vessels in your vein, and it's a very easy procedure. And so in my chest and my lungs, I had to get several coils to plug up those bad blood vessels.
Okay.
Did you always have a feeling you had HHT?
Oh yes. So again, when we were young, we would get nosebleeds. I couldn't keep up in gym class because I would always get shortness of breath. My lungs are not that great, so that's how I knew, is I couldn't keep up in gym class. I'd get nosebleeds. I'd have other weird symptoms like migraines, so that's how I knew. It was pretty obvious. And then again, we also knew something ran in our family. My mom's mom died pretty young of bleeding in her lungs, so that's how we knew we must have inherited something.
Does your mom or your dad have it?
Yes, so it runs on my mom's side of the family, and my mom also has it, but she was diagnosed right after us, and she was in her 60s, so she never had any major symptoms, so we didn't really know she was a carrier, but she was diagnosed as well, so she carries it as well.
Okay. How old were you when you first started getting the symptoms?
I remember my first major nosebleed in school in first grade. I got migraines. Again, I was shortness of breath in gym class. Elementary school, grade school, junior high. So pretty early on.
Mm-hmm. How did the procedures go? Like, what happened?
So once you find out you have HHT, it's a little freaky, but then you realize treatment's so easy. They've made it so easy, when you find out you have it, all you need to do is get screened, and then once they find the bad blood vessels, they just do a quick and easy. It's called outpatient because you don't always have to stay in the hospital. You can leave the same day after the treatment. So you go in, they plug it up. Again, they don't have to open you up, which is nice. They put you in twilight sleep, so you're kind of half awake. You're not even fully unconscious. So, and it takes maybe about an hour. I've had a couple done, like 2 or 3, and it was really easy. Again, left the same day. I didn't have to stay in the hospital, so that was nice. Very easy treatment.
How often do you have to get the procedures, or is it just a one-time deal?
That's a good question. So they treat the blood vessels. They'll do the screening. They'll treat the ones that are big enough to be treated. If it's really small and they can't fit a coil in there, they'll wait. And they say come back every like 3 years, and they screen you again to see if the little ones have grown. So that's why I've had 2 or 3. Is the first time they treat the biggest ones, and then you come back in like maybe 3 years, and if the other ones have gone bigger, they'll put more coils in you, and they'll treat you again. So that's why it's not every year. You can go back every 3 years, and they just screen you and see if you're okay. If not, they'll treat you again.
What advice would you give to someone who just found out they were diagnosed with HHT?
Okay. That's a great question. What I did is I Googled HHT, and there's a lot of resources on the internet. The biggest and best one is curehht.org, a nonprofit dedicated to finding a cure for HHT. They also connect patients with specialists. So not all doctors know about this because it's rare. 1 in 5,000 people, I think, have it. So they'll connect you with specialists. There's centers that treat it with specialists. So they'll have like a directory for centers, a directory for doctors. And you can also go on Facebook. There's Facebook groups of other patients that have it. So you can kind of connect with people that have experiences getting treated. And so my first major tip is to get resources, educate yourself, because not all doctors treat it. So it's good to know who treats it and who doesn't. So mainly get connected with people, do your research, and go to curehht.org.
All right. Thank you, Sarah, for answering our questions.
Thank you for having me.
That concludes today's episode. On our next episode, we will be interviewing Sarah's twin, Julie Angelo. Bye.
Bye.